My name is Wonsook Kim. I was born in 1953, right after the Korean War ended, in Busan, South Korea, way down. And on my first birthday, my parents moved back up to Seoul because the war is over. I was born as a second daughter. My father, who is a third generation of only son, so second daughter is not exactly the best news. We grew up in a big family with aunts and two grandmothers in the house and lots of children. I think it's because I was a second daughter and I guess I sensed the disappointment. And I was not very pretty child. I was dark, I cried a lot. They said that they just rolled me up and just put it aside, kind of waiting for the third child to be the male child. So they raised me clothing in boys' clothes and haircut is all boys because that was their superstition. They were Christian, but that way you'll get a brother. So that's what happened. And so when my brother came along, it was a huge celebration. So I was kind of on a back burner again. And throughout my childhood, I was worried a lot. I was not exactly the happiest child because I wanted to do the right thing, to be recognized, not a disappointing daughter, but somebody who is a delight and joy. And so I did a lot of things. And I think to this point, that's why I became an empath, feeling everybody's pain. And I wasn't good at school at all. I was still kind of a insecure and worried child. Throughout the junior high and high school, the similar sentiment continues. And it was interesting. A while back, when a news media wanted to interview my parents to see what kind of childhood I had, and they asked a simplest question like, "What do you remember about this child? Even though you had 8 of them, was she any different? Or is there any particular trait that you?" And my mother said, I have no idea how she was like. I just had 8 children and we had a big family. So I don't remember much about her at all. And they all like, ooh, okay, let's do that again. And my mom said, I just don't remember anything particular about this child. And I think that's very poignant because I was in the background a lot and I did my best to survive in that kind of an environment. They asked the same thing to my dad, who is a little better with words, I guess, and coming up with it. And he mentioned that, oh yeah, same here. I don't remember particularly about her when she was a child, but I remember she got in trouble because she used to doodle on the walls a lot. And in the church, she would make little doodling all over, and then, one of the deacons got really angry. So he remembers that. I was always drawing and always on her own doing something, but other than that, he didn't remember much about it at all. But I think that's what made a great asset for me. I'm an outsider. I look at things from outside. I was never an insider thriving in those conditions. I was in the back. And I think that kind of distance is so important for an artist. That's where your contemplation, your decision, your desire to do something different, that's coming from, this distance. So me being sort of over there, second child, girl, all these conditions are to my advantage. If I was in the center and got all the attention and aced out and everything, I don't think there's a room for me to grow in a creative kind of way. I took an entrance exam to, of course, Seoul National University, which I flunked out. And so I went to what they call a second 2차, which is Hongik University. And Hongik University is really well known for art school and sculpture and all that. And I had this huge dream about being an artist, free-spirited, reading all these important books. And the Hongik University was a bit of a disappointment to me. It felt like it was a continuation of high school. I decided that I want to go to bigger and better place where there's a lot of things that I can do without anybody talking to me about it. So I studied English for a whole year, like non-stop, from 5 in the morning all the way in the midnight. You know, money was a very important thing, and I needed to get a very good English test, TOEFL test, so that I can get into different school with a scholarship. And so I did take it. The score wasn't as hot, so I took it again, and I had a very high score. So I applied to many different American universities. I didn't tell my parents about it yet because I don't think at that time, this is 1970, and you know, unmarried girl doesn't go abroad on your own. When I got an admission to several different universities, and that's when I broke the news to my parents that I'll be going to one of these schools, and tuitions and everything is all covered. They were very glad. My father was a very forward-thinking person, and he thought that would be a good thing to go into a big pond and, you know, swim with big fish. My mother had a reservation, but so I went to Illinois State University, where they paid me the most. That school had done so much for me. I was free of money concern. I was free of time. I didn't speak a word of English, but that was good. This was a new land, and that was exciting. I went through undergraduate in ceramics department, and I did the graduate work in printmaking. The reason is that this has more money than other departments. Money was always one of the most important factors to be independent, because my parents were not in that place to be able to help a lot. You know, growing up, we didn't skip meals, or we were not starving, but we were not rich, and we had to do what we have to do. And you know, one of the best thing of that kind of a circumstance and education is that I know how to say no to myself. I know how to do things that I don't want to do. And I think that kind of discipline is very important. It was very important throughout my new life in Illinois State University. For instance, I learned how to draw. And the first semester, you would just draw one egg. The whole semester, just one egg, and then the shadow and the shape. And I mean, if you spend the whole time, there's so much to be learned. The second semester, you do 2 eggs, and now you're having composition, juxtaposition, you know, all that. And then we drew a lot of models of the child, old man, and all that. So I know how to draw. And when I came to Illinois State University, the kids didn't know how to draw. I could draw anything. You can set a pot of plants to, you know, a little baby. I could draw. I got noticed for being good. And another thing is, I was the only Asian woman, which was my advantage, because whatever I do, whatever I say or suggest or put in is recognized. I think that was a huge advantage for me. So that Illinois State University was a perfect hothouse for me to grow. I'm very grateful that after years of living life, that I was able to give back to the university. And now the university has Wonsook Kim College of Fine Art and Wonsook Kim School of Art. That is a huge honor, and I can see how that enables a lot of other students who is sort of a similar place that I was in 1972. In 1976, with the money that I won, Elizabeth Stein Award money, I went to New York. Like half of New York City is probably filled with those aspiring artists who is driving taxi, you know, cleaning somebody's house. I did all that. I didn't drive a taxi, but I did all the menial job of any kind. I did a lot of fashion shooting. I did show windows for Macy's and all that for me to paint at night and continue my painting career. And then I was working at night when this person came in, knocked on the door, and said, "Are you Richard?" I said, "Oh, no, Richard's space is down the street. I mean, down the hallway." So I guided them to the hallway, these two curator, And then after they finished with Richard, she came back to my studio saying, I just had a glimpse. Can I look at some more? And I said, sure. And so they looked at the drawings that I had, and they were very interested. And they got in touch with me, and they gave me a show. It's called Drawing Center in SoHo. This is 1977, I think. And I said, wow, things like that happen. I just got here. So that was a very important moment. And then that kind of got connected to other galleries and word of mouth. And so up to this far. It took me about 8 years for me to be able to support myself with my artwork. I am at a place, I'm 71 years old, and I had 67 one-person exhibition in my life, which is a huge number. I counted a couple of times to see whether could that be true, but I am that lucky and that blessed. Before, when kids were younger, I had to do it after they go to bed, and I did it at night. But now I paint all day long, every day, for last decades. And it is still more fun as I grow older. So even though I don't show as much and my finger hurts, the days are shorter, but I am painting and having a wonderful time. I came all the way this far doing the things that I want to do. My 2 kids are great. I have a wonderful supporting husband. You just cannot ask for anything more than this in this life. My mode of operation is now, I call it a revenge time. A lot of times when I think about that particular time and how that person's help or even a phone number or introduction or little money, it's huge. Without that, you cannot make the next jump. And so I have a list of people that I'm going to revenge, pay back. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. When Thomas and I got together, I would be just running around, oh, I gotta get this thing, how about it? And then he holds my shoulder and said, take a breath, because this is no big deal. And that's all I needed to hear. And so Thomas has a quality like that he said, wow, this is a great show. Let me see the ending of it, something of that to make it light. And I think that's such an asset. Both Thomas and I are in a place where not only the money, but the time that we can be helpful. And I think he was all along, and so was I. I was always interested in meddling in somebody else's business. But I'm glad to be where we are so we can help people. We can help and have a lot of fun, but understanding the sorrows of others in a different kind of way.
Right.
And that we can actually do something, and it's a good place to be. My name is Wonsook Kim. This is my Korean American story.